I never thought a single knock on the door could shatter everything I'd built. But there it was, three sharp raps echoing through a creaky farmhouse like gunshots in the dead of night. My heart slammed against my ribs as I stumbled down the stairs, the floorboards groaning under my bare feet, convinced it was Russell finally coming clean about the lies I had uncovered. Instead, the man on the porch wasn't my husband. He was my father, eyes hollowed by whiskey and regret, whispering, "Casey, we need you. We need Jamal," as if those words could erase the venom he'd spewed years ago when we brought our son home. That plea hung in the air like smoke from a dying fire, pulling me back to the day it all began, when love and hate collided in ways I could never have imagined. It was a sticky July afternoon in 2015, the kind of heat that clings to your skin like a bad memory. In our little corner of Elmwood, Ohio, a speck on the map where cornfields stretched forever and folks still whispered about those people over potlucks at the First Baptist Church. I'd met Russell 3 years earlier at a dive bar in Columbus, the kind with neon signs flickering like faulty promises. He was nursing a Bud Light, his broad shoulders slumped under the weight of a rough day on the assembly line at the auto plant. And I was fresh out of community college, sketching logos for the local feed store, dreaming of something bigger, but too scared to chase it. Our first kiss happened in the parking lot, rain pounding the gravel like it was trying to wash away our doubts. "This is crazy," he'd murmured against my lips, his calloused hands framing my face, smelling of motor oil and mint gum. We're both idiots, but we weren't. We were survivors, me, the quiet kid from a family that prayed the gay away. Him, the golden boy turned outcast after his coming out letter got leaked at the high school reunion. We bought the old Miller place on the edge of town with a leaky roof and a view of the lake, fixed it up with sweat and secondhand tools, and called a home. Then Jamal came into our lives, a whirlwind of 7-year-old energy with eyes like polished obsidian and a laugh that could crack open the iciest heart. We'd started fostering kids through the county program. Nothing formal at first, just weekends to give them a break from the chaos of group homes. But Jamal, he stuck. His file was a litany of heartbreaks. Bio mom lost to the streets of Cleveland. Dad doing life in Chillicothe for armed robbery. Bounced between relatives who saw him as a burden more than a blessing. The first night he stayed over, he curled up on the couch with a threadbare Spider-Man blanket, staring at us like we might vanish. "You gonna send me back?" he'd asked, voice small as a whisper. Russell knelt down, his voice steady as the oak out back. "Not if we can help it. Kiddo, we fought for him." God, did we fight? Home studies, court dates, the whole bureaucratic nightmare. When the judge banged his gavel and made it official, Casey and Russell Whitaker, legal guardians to Jamal Isaiah Whitaker, felt like we'd stolen a piece of the sun. But Elmwood didn't celebrate. The whispers started before the ink dried. My family led the charge. Dad, a deacon at the church, cornered me in the Piggly Wiggly parking lot, his face red as the tomatoes in his cart. "Adopting some boy's gonna ruin you both. Casey, it's unnatural. God's got a plan, and this ain't it." Mom just cried in her dish towels, mailing Bible verses about traditional families like they were love letters. Russell's side was worse. His brother Harlan, the town mechanic with a Confederate flag bumper sticker, showed up drunk one night, pounding on the door. "You faggots think you can play house with a colored kid? You're a goddamn embarrassment." We tried to shield Jamal. Homeschooled him at first. Took him to the lake for field trips, where we'd skip stones and talk about superheroes who save the world without capes. But kids talk, and by third grade, when we enrolled him at Elmwood Elementary, the taunts followed. Fairy daddies, the boys would hiss in the playground. Or worse, slurs that made my blood boil. Jamal came home once with a split lip, claiming he'd fallen off the swing, but his eyes told the truth. That was the first crack in us, me and Russell. I lie awake nights, his arm heavy across my chest, wondering if we doomed this beautiful boy to our kind of pain. We're giving him what they never did, Russell would say, kissing my temple. A family that fights for him, but doubt is a thief, stealing sleep and trust in equal measure. The real fracture came 2 years in, during the summer of 2017. Russell started working doubles at the plant, coming home smelling of sweat and secrets. I'd find him staring at his phone, thumbs hovering like he was drafting a confession. "Everything okay?" I'd ask, stirring spaghetti sauce on the stove. Jamal coloring at the table with crayons we'd bought on sale. "Yeah, babe. Just tired." But his smiles didn't reach his eyes anymore. Then the letters started arriving. Unsigned, slipped under the windshield wiper of my truck at the feed store. "We know what you're doing to that boy. Perverts like you don't deserve him." One even had a photo, grainy, but unmistakable. Me and Jamal at the county fair, my hand on his shoulder, him grinning with cotton candy smeared on his cheek. Someone was watching. Paranoia set in. I accused Russell first, in a fight that echoed off the kitchen walls like thunder. "Is it you? Are you talking to them? Trying to get out while you can." He looked at me like I'd slapped him, his jaw clenching the way it did when he held back tears. "Casey, how can you even? Because you're hiding something. I see it every damn day." Jamal, hearing the shouts, hid in his room, music blasting from his Walkman to drown us out. The truth was uglier than I imagined. Turns out, Harlan had been harassing Russell at work, threatening to get him fired unless he straightened up and sent the kid back. Russell hadn't told me because he was ashamed of needing me to fight his battles, ashamed of the weakness he saw in himself. But in my hurt, I twisted it into betrayal. "You should have trusted me," I yelled, storming out to the porch, the screen door slamming like a guillotine. We slept apart that week, the bed a cold expanse between us. Jamal sensed it, drawing pictures of us as a superhero team, capes fluttering in crayon blues and reds. "Don't let the bad guys win, Dads," he'd say, pressing them into our hands. I wanted to believe we could mend it, but the town was closing in. The church picnic that August was the breaking point, a spread of fried chicken and potato salad under the pavilion, American flags snapping in the breeze. We brought Jamal, dressed in his best polo, hoping for normalcy. But Dad pulled me aside by the grill, smoke curling from the coals like accusatory fingers. "People are talking, son, about you too, parading that boy around like some trophy. It's sinful, sinful." I laughed, bitter as bile. Loving my son is sinful, protecting him when no one else would. He leaned in, voice low. Adopting him was a mistake. From the start. Folks say you're confusing the child, making him like you. The words landed like punches. I glanced across the field, Russell chasing Jamal with a water balloon, their laughter cutting through the murmurs. But it was too late. That night, Harlan's crew egged our truck, yellow yolks dripping like tears in the moonlight. Russell wanted to call the cops. I wanted to run. "We can't stay here," I said, packing boxes in the dim garage light. "Not for him." Russell nodded, but his eyes were storms. "Wherever we go, Case, it's us against them. Always has been. We didn't leave, though. Not then. Stubborn love, or maybe fear disguised as courage, kept us rooted. But the seeds of resentment took hold. Me resenting Russell for not fighting harder. Him resenting me for doubting us. And Jamal? He bore the brunt, retreating into books about far-off places, dreaming of cities where families like ours weren't front-page scandals. By 2020, the pandemic hit Elmwood like a biblical plague, shuttering the plant and turning neighbors into suspects. Russell lost his job, took up odd gigs, fixing tractors, hauling hay, while I scraped by with remote graphic design for out-of-state clients. Isolation bred intimacy. In a way, we'd huddle on the couch with Jamal between us, binging old sitcoms, pretending the world outside wasn't unraveling. But secrets fester in silence. One evening, as fireflies danced in the yard, Russell confessed over lukewarm coffee. I talked to a lawyer last year. About custody. Solo. The mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the linoleum. What? Not like that. Just in case something happened to me. To make sure Jamal stayed with you. His voice cracked. I didn't want them taking him. Case. Your family. The town they'd twisted. Relief warred with rage. Another lie. Born of love. But it stung like betrayal. You think I'd let that happen? That I couldn't protect our son? I think you're the strongest man I know, he said, reaching for my hand. But I was scared. We made love that night for the first time in months, slow, tentative, reclaiming what the world tried to steal. But trust is fragile, and ours was spiderweb with cracks. The misunderstandings piled up like snowdrifts. I'd find Russell's truck parked at the old quarry late at night, convinced he was meeting someone. Turn out, he was just sitting there, staring at the stars, grieving his lost dreams of fatherhood in a normal way. I'd snap at him for small things, forgotten chores, a lingering glance at the grocery store, and he'd withdraw, building walls higher than the ones we'd torn down. Jamal turned 12 that winter, a milestone marked by a cake from the diner and a new bike with training wheels he pretended not to need. But at school, the bullying escalated. A teacher pulled me in, her face pinched. Jamal's been acting out, drawing inappropriate things. Hearts with two men. My stomach dropped. He's expressing his family. She averted her eyes. Some parents have concerns. That some was Harlan's wife, who'd started a petition to review our adoption. The town council meeting was a circus, neighbors I'd known since diapers clutching pitchforks of piety. Protect our children, they chanted, as if Jamal were a threat. Russell stood beside me, hand in mine, facing the firing squad. He's our child. Legally, morally, everything. Dad spoke up then, voice booming from the back. This ain't about hate, Russell. It's about right and wrong. You mocked God's design by taking that boy. Mocked. The word lodged in my throat like a bone. We've been mocked for years. The Snickers at the gas station, the cross streets, the slashed tires. But hearing it from blood, it ignited something primal. I lunged forward, chair scraping. You mocked us first, called us abominations, sinners, freaks. And now you question our right to love him. The room erupted. Russell pulled me back, his grip bruising. Not here. Case. Not like this. We stormed out, Jamal waiting in the truck, oblivious or pretending to be. That night, as rain lashed the windows, Russell and I fought like we never had, accusations flying like shrapnel. You're too soft, I shouted, letting them walk all over us. And you're blind, he roared back, pushing everyone away till we're all alone. Jamal burst in, tears streaming. Stop, please. Stop. He collapsed between us, sobs racking his small frame. I don't want to lose you. Either of you. We held him then, a tangled knot of limbs and heartache, whispering apologies into his curls. But the damage was done. Decisions loomed. Hard as flint, stay and fight, or flee to a city where rainbows weren't scandals. We chose fight. Russell took a loan for night classes in welding, dreaming of union work in Toledo. I pitched designs to bigger firms, building a portfolio of logos that screamed progress, rainbow-infused brands for queer-owned businesses. Jamal thrived in patches, joining the library book club, devouring stories of underdogs who won. But the secrets? They multiplied. I hit my therapy sessions, the ones where I unpacked the shame dad's words carved into me. Russell buried his pain in whiskey, bottles stashed in the barn like guilty lovers. And Jamal, he started lying too, small fibs about school that masked the bigger hurts. The climax hit like a freight train in spring 2022. Harlan called, slurring. Russ. Accident. Bad. Come quick. We raced to the hospital in Dayton, Jamal asleep in the back seat. Harlan lay broken, drunk driving, wrapped around a tree. His wife, pale as ash, clutched my arm in the waiting room. He always said, "You two were the problem." But now, Russell sat stone-faced beside his brother's bed, monitors beeping like accusations. "Why'd you call us?" he asked. Voice hollow. She glanced at Jamal, dozing on the vinyl chairs. The town's turning. After the petition. And we need help. With the kids. If Harlan. It was the first beg, veiled but real. They needed us, the family they'd mocked, to step in, to foster their own while the dust settled. Russell refused, eyes blazing. You made your bed, but I saw the crack in him, the boy who once idolized his big brother. That night, driving home under a canopy of stars, he broke. What if we say yes? Show them what family really means. I want to scream no, to protect our fragile peace. But Jamal stirred, murmuring, "Uncle Harlan, okay?" And in that moment, I understood the impossible choice, forgive to teach, or harden and lose ourselves. We took them in, Harlan's twins, Lily and Luke. Wide-eyed toddlers dropped like parcels on our doorstep. The town watched, jaws slack, as we juggled 4 kids under one leaky roof. Whispers turned to uneasy truces. Mom brought casseroles again. Tentative bridges over chasms. But betrayal lurked. Turns out, Harlan hadn't crashed alone. His passenger was a co-worker, a friend who'd been feeding the petition rumors. And Russell? He'd known, suspected the affair, kept it buried to avoid more pain. When I found the texts, innocent flirtations that twisted my gut, I confronted him in the barn, pitchforks leaning like silent judges. You lied again. To spare him? Or yourself? Casey, it was nothing. Nothing? While I'm breaking my back for this family. The words poured out, laced with years of unspoken fury. You think I don't see how you look at me now? Like I'm the burden. He stepped closer, rain dripping from the eaves. I look at you like the man who saved me. Every day, but doubt is a poison. Slow and sure. I packed a bag that dawn, leaving a note, needs space to breathe. Love you. Take care of them. Drove to Columbus, crashing on a friend's couch, sketching feverishly to numb the ache. Days blurred into weeks, therapy, job interviews, calls from Jamal that tore me open. When you coming home, Dad? Uncle Russ is sad. The misunderstanding peaked when Mom showed up, unannounced, at the coffee shop where I tempied. Your father's sick. Casey. Cancer. Stage 3. He won't say it, but he wants you there. Wants. Forgiveness. Forgiveness? After the mocks, the slurs, the way he disowned us at Thanksgiving, calling Jamal that charity case, rage boiled. But beneath it, the boy who once fished with Dad at the lake, who craved his nod of approval. I returned, not for him, but for closure. The farmhouse was a whirlwind, Russell wrangling kids, his eyes lighting like embers when I walked in. You came. For Jamal, I lied. dropping my bag. But the pull was magnetic, his hand brushing mine as we tucked the twins in, sparks reigniting. Dad's illness was the unexpected crescendo. Hospice in their ranch house, monitors humming dirges. He withered, skin papery as old leaves, but his eyes, sharp as ever, fixed on me during a rare lucid hour. I was wrong. Son. About you. About the boy. Jamal. He's good. Strong. Like you. Tears stung. Why now? Scared, he rasped. Of hell. Of losing you forever. Then, the secret spilled, years ago. He'd confessed to the pastor about his own thoughts, fleeting attractions buried under sermons and denial. The hypocrisy, the fear, it fueled his hate, a mirror he couldn't face. I held his hand, bony and cold. Love isn't a sin. Dad, it's the only thing that saves us. He died at dawn, the room bathed in pink light. The funeral was a town affair. Awkward eulogies masking regrets. Harlan, recovered but humbled, cornered Russell in the cemetery. I was wrong, bro. About everything. If you ever need anything, Russell clapped his shoulder. A truce sealed in gravel. We're good. But the kids? They're family now. Back home. With the twins returned, but visits ongoing. The air shifted. No more secrets, just raw, aching honesty. Russell and I rebuilt. Date nights at the lake. Jamal's eye rolls at our hand holding a badge of teenage normalcy. Years rolled on. Jamal bloomed into a lanky 18-year-old, accepted to Ohio State on a scholarship for environmental science. His acceptance letter framed beside our wedding photo, the quiet courthouse ceremony in 2018. Vows exchanged under fluorescent lights. To fighting the good fight, we toasted with gas station champagne. The begs came in waves after that. Mom, frail now, needing rides to chemo. Harlan, facing foreclosure, asking for legal advice on a custody tweak for his new baby. The town council, of all ironies, nominating us for community builders after Jamal's TEDx talk on foster care went viral from mocked to mended, a black kid's queer family. We helped, not out of spite, but grace. Show them, Jamal said, packing for college, his duffel stuffed with our old flannels. What real strength looks like. Russell and I stood on the porch that last night, arms linked, watching taillights fade down the dirt road. We made it, he murmured, forehead to mine. Barely, I laughed, but my heart swelled. Love isn't linear. It's a battlefield of misunderstandings and mercies. Secrets unearthed like buried mines. But in the quiet aftermath, it endures. Elmwood changed slow, like seasons in Ohio, frost giving way to green. We stayed, roots deep in that flawed soil, teaching by living. And in the end, the mockers didn't just beg, they bowed, learning that family defies blood, borders, and bigotry. As for us, we're still here, two men graying at the temples, chasing sunsets with a son who calls us heroes. It's not perfect, but it's ours, fiercely, unapologetically American. The autumn after Jamal left for college felt like exhaling after holding your breath for years, a release, but one laced with the ache of empty nests. Russell and I wandered the house like ghosts, stumbling over shoes that weren't there, the silence louder than any argument we'd ever had. I'd catch him in the kitchen, staring at the spot where Jamal used to color, a half-smile ghosting his lips. Think he's eating enough up there? He'd ask, as if the boy hadn't FaceTimed us last night, devouring pizza with roommates. He's fine, I'd say, pulling him close, our bodies fitting like puzzle pieces worn smooth by time. But inside, the old doubts whispered, what now? Just us? Can we still be enough? We tried. God, we tried. Enrolled in a community pottery class at the rec center. Cliché as hell, but therapeutic. Our hands slick with clay as we shaped misshapen bowls. Like us, Russell joked, thumbs pressing into the wet earth. Full of cracks, but holding water. Our instructor, a wiry woman named Gert with tattoos peeking from her sleeves, raised an eyebrow. You two been together long. Long enough to adopt a teenager and survive a small-town witch hunt, I replied, and she laughed, a bark that echoed off the kiln. Word spread. Of course. Elmwood's grapevine was faster than fiber optic. Soon, couples, straight, queer, in between, started showing up. Tentative at first, then bold. A young lesbian pair from the edge of town, hands intertwined under the table, an older widower experimenting with watercolors. It felt like defiance, small but seismic, reshaping the town's rigid clay. But peace is fleeting in stories like ours. The next fracture came from within. A secret I'd buried deeper than Dad's ashes under the old apple tree. Therapy had unearthed it during those Columbus weeks, a childhood memory. Fuzzy at edges, but sharp in pain. Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, cornering me in the barn at 14, his breath hot with beer. You're different, boy. I see it, his hand on my shoulder, lingering too long. I'd frozen, told no one, locked it away as just family weirdness. Now, with Dad gone and Harlan semi-redeemed, it festered. Nightmares woke me sweating, Russell's arm tightening instinctively. Talk to me, he'd murmur in the dark. Can't, I gasped, the words choking like weeds. The misunderstanding bloomed when Harlan invited us to a reconciliation barbecue, his idea of amends. Ribs smoking on the back 40. The twins now rambunctious 7-year-olds chasing fireflies. Mom was there, thinner but smiling, pressing lemonades into our hands. Proud of you boys, she said, the words foreign on her tongue. It was going well, too well, until Harlan pulled Russell aside by the cooler. Voices low. I wandered over, catching fragments. Ray. Always knew. Kept it quiet for the family. My blood iced. Ray. The name alone summoned ghosts. Later, in the truck, I confronted Russell. What did he say about Uncle Ray? Russell shifted. Uneasy. Nothing good. Turns out, Dad covered for him. Affairs. The works. Why? Liar. The accusation slipped out. Venomous. You knew. About me. What he did. His face crumpled. Casey. What? The barn. Summer of '98. He touched me. And you've been protecting them all along. It wasn't true. Not fully. Russell hadn't known. But in my unraveling, every secret we'd ever kept blurred into one massive betrayal. He slammed on the brakes. Gravel spraying. I'd never, Christ. Case. I'd kill him if he were alive. But rage is blind. I bolted, hiking back to the farm alone, miles under moonlit fury. By dawn, he'd found me on the dock, rod in hand, staring at the lake like it held answers. I called Gert, he said softly, sitting beside me. She knows a counselor in Dayton. Specializes in this stuff. I broke then, sobs heaving, the stories spilling like floodwaters, Ray's grip, Dad's averted eyes, the shame that mirrored their homophobia. Russell held me, rocking like we did Jamal through storms. You're safe now. We end this cycle. Together. Therapy was brutal. Sessions peeling layers like sunburnt skin. But it mended. Slowly, Russell attending too, unpacking his own scars from Harlan's shadow. We emerged raw but resilient. Intimacy reborn in vulnerability. Date nights evolved. Drives to Columbus for indie films. Picnics at the quarry where he'd once hidden his pain. Jamal came home for Thanksgiving. That year, broader, with a boyfriend in tow, Marcus, a poli-sci major from Detroit. All easy grins and locks tied back. Dads, he announced over turkey. Meet the guy who's going to change the world with me. We toasted, tears pricking. Russell squeezed my knee under the table. Our boy's all grown, but growth invites conflict. Marcus's family was old money, skeptical of white Midwestern saviors, as he put it half-joking. A holiday visit to Detroit turned tense, polite dinners laced with undercurrents. His mom eyeing our clasped hands. Jamal's lucky, she conceded finally. But love like yours, it's rare. Guard it. We did. Fiercely. Back in Elmwood, the town thawed further. The council award led to panels at the high school, me and Russell. Tag-teaming talks on building bridges in divided times. Kids listened, some with wide eyes, others nodding like they'd lived it. One boy, quiet in the back, approached after him. Like you. Scared to tell. Russell clapped his shoulder. Take your time, kid. But know you're not alone. It was moments like that, paying forward the mercy we'd begged for, that stitched our wounds. Yet drama lurked, as it does in lives like ours. Winter 2024 brought Harlan's crisis, bankruptcy looming, the garage shuttered by corporate buyouts. He showed up sodden, hat in hand. Russ, I need a loan. For the family. The kids. Russell's jaw tightened. We've bailed you before. Not like this. Please. For old times. I watched from the kitchen window, heart twisting. Old times mint-mocks. Slurs. The petition that nearly broke us. But seeing the twins' faces in his innocent echoes, I nodded when Russell looked to me. One time. And counseling. For everyone. He agreed. Humbled. It was the second beg. Over it now. A crack in the armor of pride. Spring bloomed, with Jamal's graduation looming. But shadows gathered. Mom's chemo faltered, metastasis. The doctor said gravely. She called me to her bedside, the room smelling of antiseptic and wilted daisies. Casey, I kept your letters. The ones from college. When you came out. Burned them. But not before reading every word. Why tell me now? Regret's a heavy load. Son, I mocked you us for that boy. For your life. But he, Jamal, saved me. Visits. Talks. He's family. Tears welled. He always was. She gripped my hand. Forgive an old woman? Already did. Mom. Long ago. She passed gently. A week later. Under the same pink dawn as Dad. The funeral was smaller. Intimate. Harlan speaking. Voice cracking on redemption. Afterward, as we shoveled dirt onto the casket, Russell leaned in. We're okay, right? After all this. Better than, I whispered, kissing his temple. But secrets die hard. That night, sorting her things, I found box, unburned letters, yellowed but whole, tucked beside her Bible. And a note, in her looping script, to my sons, love wins. Always. It undid me. Proof of quiet rebellions. We framed one. Hung it by the mantel, dear Mom. I'm gay. And happy. Wish you could see. Jamal flew in for summer. Marcus, too. The house alive with laughter and late-night debates on climate justice. But tension simmered. Jamal confiding over bonfires. Dad case. Sometimes I worry. About fitting. Black kid. 2 white dads. Now this white boyfriend's family side-eyeing. Russell stir the coals. You fit where you choose. Kid. We made that space. The climax crested unexpectedly. A storm without rain. Harlan's loan repayment stalled. Turns out, he'd gambled it on a sure thing at the track. Desperation's folly. He confessed in our driveway. Rain sheeting down. The twins huddled in his truck. I fucked up. Again. Can't lose them. Rage flared. Years of begs. Half reforms. Now this. You mocked us for building a family. I thundered. And now you beg to tear yours apart? Russell stepped forward. Calm as lake glass. We're done enabling. Get help. Or get out. Harlan crumpled, nodding through sobs. Child Services intervened. Temporary foster, irony's bitter pill. The twins stayed with us. An echo of our own start. Their giggles a balm on fresh scars. In the aftermath, Russell and I hit our own wall. Am I too forgiving, he asked, voice small in our bed. Like Dad. No, I said, tracing his jaw. You're human. And that's why I love you. We sought counseling again, not as broken, but as builders, workshops on boundaries, books on queer resilience. Jamal mediated a family summit, video call with Marcus's folks, bridges spanning states and suspicions. By fall, Harlan stabilized, sober, employed at the plant. Twins returned with supervised visits. The begs evolved into thanks. Handwritten notes slipped under doors. You saved us. And us? We thrived, planting a community garden on the old quarry land, rows of tomatoes and zinnias, a rainbow flag fluttering defiant. Pottery bowls held potlucks, Gert toasting to the fighters. Jamal proposed to Marcus on New Year's. Under Elmwood's lone firework burst. Dads, he said, beaming. You turned to walk someone down the aisle. We did, arm in arm, tears blurring the vows. Love, it turned out, wasn't the absence of conflict but the choice. Every dawn, to wade through it. 2025 dawned crisp. The kind of Ohio winter that bites, but promises thaw. Jamal's wedding planning consumed us. Centerpieces from the garden. Vows co-written over Zoom. Russell dove in, tie shopping with Marcus, while I handled invites, crossing off names with a mix of mercy and might. Harlan, yes. Town council, maybe. The pastor who'd once barred us. A tentative olive branch. But beneath the bustle, a new secret nod, mine this time, selfish and sharp. A job offer from a Cincinnati firm. Senior designer. Remote, but with travel. 6 figures. Benefits. A chance to build beyond sketches on napkins. I'd applied on a whim, after a portfolio review at a queer arts expo in Columbus. The email arrived Christmas Eve. We'd love to discuss. Excitement warred with terror. Tell Russell? Risk appending our rhythm. The farm we'd bled for? Jamal sensed it, cornering me in the barn amid hay bales. Spill. Dad. You're glowing weird. I confessed. Words tumbling. It's big. But leaving here. Us. He hugged me fierce. Go for it. You've earned wings. We'll still be your anchor. His blessing cracked me open. But doubt lingered. That night, over cocoa by the fire, I broached it to Russell. What if I took a job? In the city. Not full-time away. But his face shadowed. You want to leave? No, expand. For us. Stability. College funds. The works. He set down his mug. Slow. Elmwood's our fight. Case. We want it. Why run now? It wasn't running. It was reaching. But his eyes, wary, wounded, echoed old fears, abandonment. The solo custody whispers. Misunderstanding flared quick as flint. You think I'm bailing? After everything. I think change scares me, he admitted. Voice rough. Losing you to suits and skyscrapers. We tabled it. But tension hummed. A low wire. The wedding loomed. Distractions in tulle and tuxes. but cracks spiderwebbed. Harlan helped with setup, hauling chairs with a sobriety chip glinting on his keychain. Proud of Russ, he grunted, sweat beading, for forgiving a dumbass like me. Family does that, I replied, stacking linens. But inside, I wondered at what cost. The ceremony was magic, backyard transformed. String lights twinkling like captured stars. Jamal in a sharp suit. Marcus beaming vows of partners in justice. We sat front row, Russell's hand clammy in mine, tears sinking as they kissed under an arch of wildflowers. Reception buzzed, Gert leading a conga line, Mom's old friends toasting resilience, even the pastor murmuring, beautiful service, but high on joy. I slipped over cake, toasting Jamal to new horizons. May we all chase them brave. Russell's gaze sharpened, the job unspoken but loud. Confrontation hit post-honeymoon. Kids off on a beach escape. House ours again. He found the offer letter, printed for safekeeping on my desk. Cincinnati. Relocation stipend. Russell, you accepted? Hurt laced his tone. Betrayal's edge. Not yet. Waiting for us. Us? Or you? He paced. Boots thudding. I've been over backward. Jobs. Harlan. The town. And now you jet off. It's not. Words failed. Old patterns replaying. Secrets. Assumptions. You're scared I'll outgrow this. Us. He stopped. Deflating. Maybe. We built this from scraps. What if the city chews you up? I pull them down. Couch creaking. Then I come home. To you. Always. We talked till dawn. Fears unpacked like holiday ornaments. Fragile and fond. He admitted envy. His welding certs stagnant. I confessed guilt for dreaming beyond our bubble. Compromise emerged. Accept. But hybrid. 3 days farm. 2 city. Weekends sacred. It worked. Mostly. My first week in the high-rise office, glass walls overlooking the Ohio River, felt electric. Ideas flowing like the current below. But homecomings were sweeter. Russell's dinners waiting. Porch swings creaking with stories swapped. Yet Elmwood tested us still. The garden project ballooned. Volunteers planting community plots. But council pushback on queer initiatives stirred old ghosts. A petition circulated, keep faith in our fields. Led by a new deacon, echoing Dad's fire. Harlan rallied first. Surprisingly. Enough, he boomed at the meeting, standing beside us. These men fed my kids when I couldn't. Gave me a second chance. Sign that. You're the sinners. Applause rippled. Uneasy but real. The petition fizzled. Garden thriving. First harvest a potluck triumph. Rainbow carrots symbolizing unlikely yields. Jamal called midsummer. Voice tight. Trouble in paradise. Marcus's firm passed him over. Suspect's bias. He's spiraling. We drove up. State lines blurring. Arriving to a loft strewn with resumes. Marcus paced. Lock swinging. I'm the token. Aren't I? Black. Gay. Activist. Too much for corporate. Russell clapped his back. Bull. You're the future. Let's strategize. We did. Nights of mock interviews. Cover letters laced with fire. Jamal leaned on us. The role reversal poignant. Parents as allies. Not saviors. Thanks, dads, he said, hugging tight. For showing me how to bend, not break. Back home, the emotional swell crested. Russell surprised me. A weekend at the lake cabin we'd honeymooned in. Packed with our old pottery, a bottle of that gas station bubbly. To expansions, he toasted, clinking glasses on the dock. Sun dipped low, painting water gold. And there, the most romantic frame of our saga, us silhouetted, arms entwined, Laughter mingling with loon calls. No words needed. Love, distilled. But drama demands depth. Fall brought Mom's estate settlement, a modest inheritance. Split 3 ways, me. Harlan, a trust for the twins. Harlan offered his share. For the garden. Or Jamal's grad school. Your call. Suspicion flickered. Motive? But his eyes held steady. Amends etched deep. We funneled it to scholarships. Naming one after her. Grace Whitaker Fund for Queer Youth of Color. The Beggs peaked then. A cascade. The deacon, humbled by his kids coming out, sought advice over coffee. How'd you do it? Raise a family in this town. Day by day, Russell said. And a hell of a lot of forgiveness. Town hall followed. Council begging our expertise for a diversity initiative. Post a viral op-ed Jamal penned on Midwest miracles. We consulted. Cautious. Boundaries firm. Personal storms brewed. Though. My travel ramped. Conferences in Chicago. Deadlines devouring nights. Russell withdrew. Barn projects piling. A treehouse for visiting grandkids-to-be. Shelves groaning under unread books. Miss you, he'd text. Simple but seismic. Misunderstanding reignited over a forgotten anniversary. Our 10th. Courthouse vows etched in memory. I flew in late. Hotel snafu. Arriving to a dark house. Note on the counter. Out with Harlan. Don't wait up. Panic surged. Echoes of old secrets. I drove the bars. Heart hammering. Finding them at the VFW. Beers half gone. Laughing over war stories. Case. Russell beamed. But guilt shadowed. Forgot to text. Harlan needed. Venting. About. Jealousy bit. Me. Sober life's hard. Thought I'd crack tonight. Relief crashed. But hurt lingered. Home. We unpacked. My absences. His isolations. We're drifting, I said. Tears hot. No, he countered. Fierce. Adapting. But we need anchors. We recommitted. Weekly check-ins. No phones dinners. A couple's retreat in the Hocking Hills. Hikes through fog-shrouded woods. Hands linked. Vowing renewal. Jamal's first anniversary brought levity. A barbecue mirroring our wedding. Twins chasing cousins. Marcus grilling with flair. To enduring loves, he toasted. Arm around Jamal. But the unexpected high note twisted sharp. Harlan collapsed at work. Heart attack. Minor but wake up. Hospital vigil. We held his hand. The irony thick. Oh, you, he wheezed to Russell. For not giving up. Family, Russell replied. Simple. Recovery bridged us deeper. Harlan joining garden shifts. Stories swapped over soil. The town watched. Whispers fading to nods. As leaves turned, my job evolved, leading a queer design collective. Projects funding local causes. Russell enrolled in online business classes, eyeing a co-op for the farm. We thrived, intertwined, yet psychological depths plumbed low. Therapy unearthed my Ray trauma's tendrils, trust issues rooted deep. A nightmare surfaced, Dad knowing, choosing silence. I raged at his grave, shovel striking dirt. Why? Russell found me there, dawn breaking. Because he was broken. Doesn't make it right. But you're whole. His words. A lifeline. We burned effigies, letters to ghosts, in the fire pit. Ashes scattering like released burdens. Winter solstice. We hosted solstice supper. Jamal and Marcus. Harlan's crew. Gert's misfits. Toast to trials surmounted. Futures forged. Laughter echoed. A symphony of survival. Spring 2025 unfurled like a promise kept. Buds bursting on the apple tree where Dad's marker stood sentinel. Jamal announced grad school, policy masters at Georgetown. Marcus tagging for law. D.C. Or bust. He grinned over brunch. Mimosas fizzing. But Ohio roots forever. Pride swelled. Bittersweet, another launch. Russell and I waved them off at the airport, his arm heavy around me. Empty again, he sighed on the drive back. Filled with us, I countered, hand on his thigh. And it was mornings tangled in sheets, evenings on the porch with books and brews. The pharma canvas for dreams deferred no more. Harlan's full redemption arc played out quiet. He proposed to his sponsor, a no-nonsense nurse named Bev, wedding small at the VFW. We catered, ribs from the old recipe, garden salads crisp. To second acts, he toasted, eyes misty on Russell. Couldn't without you. Bev pulled me aside later, cake knife in hand. He talks about you two nonstop. Heroes, he calls you. Heroes have scars, I laughed. But warmth bloomed. The garden co-op launched official Whitaker Fields. Plots leased cheap to families. Queer Center a hub for support groups. Opening day drew crowds, kids planting seeds, elders swapping lore. A mural by local artists blooming rainbows amid cornstalks. The deacon cut the ribbon. Speech humble, we mocked what we didn't understand. Today, we grow together. Applause thundered. Cathartic. But conflicts linger, subtle as roots underground. A donor pulled funding, anonymous notes citing family values, echoing old petitions. We rallied. Crowdfunding viral. Jamal's network amplifying. Defend the dirt. Queer roots in red states. It soared. Excess seeding scholarships. Harlan welded the new sign. Sweat-beaded brow proud. Personal tempests tested still. Russell's classes hit a wall, midterms tanking, imposter syndrome gnawing. What if I'm too old? Stuck in Elmwood mud. I found him in the barn. Blueprints crumpled. You're expanding too. Let me help. We studied tandem, flashcards over coffee. His hand tracing mine during equations. Doubt dissolved in partnership. His first, a victory sweeter than any. My travels peaked, a TED-style talk in Chicago on designs for belonging. Slides weaving our story, mocks to miracles. Crowd hushed at the adoption slide, Jamal's grin front and center. Q&A delved deep. How'd you forgive? Choice by choice, I said. Humanity's messiest art. Back home, Russell waited with steak and stars. Killed it. Babe, we did. The deepest psychological dive came unbidden, a letter from Ray's widow. Forwarded years late. He was troubled. Confessed to me about. Boys. Never acted, but the guilt ate him. Sorry for your pain. Closure? Or salt and wounds? I share with Russell. Therapy couch, our confessional. Does it change Dad's silence? No, he said firm. But it frees you from what ifs. We wrote back, forgiveness extended. Not for them, but us. Burned a reply. Phoenix style. Summer solstice marked our 12th. Vows renewed lakeside. Gert officiating in tie-dye. Jamal officiated virtual. Twins flower boys giggling. To endless summers we pledged. Rings glinting. But the true climax crashed autumnal. Jamal's crisis call. 2 a.m. Car accident. Marcus. Critical. D.C. Traffic. Idiot driver. We flew frantic. Hearts and throats. Landing to sterile hulls and beeps. Marcus lay bandaged. Jamal shattered beside. He pushed me out. Took the hit. Guilt ravaged our son. Protector like us. Russell held Jamal as sobs racked. I advocated. Lawyers and insurance a blur. Vigil stretch days. Marcus stabilizing. Surgery a success. But rehab looming. The beg reversed. Jamal. Voice small. Dad's. Can you stay? Help us navigate. Of course, Russell said. Booking extensions. DC. Immersed us. Monuments stark against our pastoral life. Metro Hum Alien. We rallied. Therapy for trauma. Fundraisers for bills. Marcus's firm stepping up post-publicity. Jamal's network surged. Op-eds on queer resilience in crisis. Backlash bit. Trolls online. Elmwood whispers of city curses. Harlan defended fierce. Leave MB. They're warriors. Healing wove slow. Marcus walking with canes. Jamal's policy dreams deferred a semester. We returned enriched. Farm feeling hallowed. Winter brought harvest. Co-op's first profit. Donated to DC. Rehab funds. Holiday gathering swelled. Harlan's clan. Gert's crew. Deacon's family. Toast to trials transcended. Jamal visited New Year's. Marcus on crutches. Rings glinting, engaged. Quiet ceremony planned. Your legacy, Jamal said. Hugging. Love that bends but doesn't break. Russell and I. Gray streak now. Dance slow in the kitchen to old Motown. His breath warm on my neck. Regrets? None, I murmured. You wouldn't trade a scar. Elmwood evolved. Pride flags on Main. Garden a model for counties. The mockers? Faded footnotes. There begs footnotes to grace. Our story? No fairy tale. But epic, dramatic strokes of conflict and caress. Misunderstandings mended by mercy. In America's heartland, where divides run deep as rivers, we proved love, raw and relentless, reclaims all. Humanistic close, not conquest, but coexistence. We endure, entwined, a testament that even in controversy's crucible, empathy emerges, phoenix from ashes, family from fractures.